So here we are at the sort of finished body of our cardigan. I'm gonna stop here, so I'm just gonna measure it just to let you know how. So we're gonna measure it from the bottom of the armhole. So I've got about 24.5 centimeters there. So once I've done the border, that's going to be about 25 centimeters, and that's absolutely fine. So I have finished in here, as you can see. So this is on the right side. So what we need to do next is to do the border, okay, which is going to go alongside there. It's also, we are not going to stop on that, just on that side. We're going to go all around the collar and then all the way down. So we're going to repeat, so we're going to do once all the way down there, and then on the wrong side back, and then again, and then we're going to go all the way at the bottom. So this is going to be a continuous border. When we do the border, please remember to put the holes for your buttons on whichever side you want your buttons to be. Well, the opposite side of where the buttons are going to be placed. We also need to make sure that when we get to the collar bit, so that's this side here, everywhere else we're going to do half double crochets. When we get to the collar part, we're going to do single crochets, and we're going to tighten this up a little bit to make it more of a roundy shape, and that's going to give us a good base for the collar later on. Okay, so that's the plan. I've just put the stitch marker here when I've ended that row. So what I'm going to do is to start the edging, and we're going to do half double crochet for that. I'm just going to chain one, and if you actually see your work, you're going to see that you've got like little gaps on pretty much every row there, and that's when I'm going to place my half double crochets. Okay, please make sure that you count the half double crochet that you're going to place on the first side, because you're going to make the same amount of half double crochet on the other side, so you're going to mimic that. Okay, so to make a half double crochet, what you need to do is to yarn over, okay, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. So now you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, and the half double crochet, it's a very good stitch for borders because it's very sturdy. It's one of those like very I don't want to say like very hard, it's not a hard stitch, but it's gonna make that edge a little bit sturdier for the buttons. Okay, so let's do another one. So we've done one. Okay, yarn over, so I've got like a little hole in here, so that's where I'm going to place my second one. Okay, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. So now you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Let's do that again. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. Okay, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3. I've made 3 there, so I'm going to continue doing half double crochet on that side. I'm gonna meet you once I get to the end there, and then we're gonna do I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do for the collar part afterwards. So go ahead and do your half double crochet on that one side. Please make sure that you count your stitches, because that's how many you need to do on the other side of your work. Okay, I have finished that side with half double crochets and have come to the end of my work here. I have 56 half double crochet, so I'm gonna make 56 on the other side as well. Okay, so we are coming to this collar area now, and I have finished here on the side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chain one, okay, and it's time to turn our work and do this edge here. Now this edge we're gonna do with single crochets, okay, so this is gonna be sort of our base for our collar. So again, to do a single crochet, we're going to do single crochet in each one of these crochet stitches. So you can see we've got them already from our chain. There they are. Oops, let me just take this out, and you can see them there. Okay, so we're going to do single crochets in them. So chain one, okay, and do single crochets. So what we'll do as well is we've got this tail here, okay, so we're going to hide this as we go along, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So I'm just going to put 2 to start with in that half double crochet. So I'm going to do a single one there too, okay, and this one here, it looks like the end, if you like. I'm just going to hide that behind, and I'm going to crochet over it on the back side, so I don't have to tuck it in later on. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to insert my hook in that stitch there. I'm going to place the end on the back like that, so be careful not to pull that one as you pull your working yarn, okay, and make a single crochet. And there we have it. Okay, let's do the other one and just hide it on the back and just do single crochet. Okay, it's just going to be a bit neater, and it just means that you're not going to have to hide it later on when you're tucking away your stitches. I prefer to do it this way. If you're not sure and you just want to do it in the end, that's totally up to you. You don't have to tuck it in now. So there we go. You know, we have made that corner, and we're just going to continue with a single crochet. So continue on that on this part, and then once you've come to the corner, do you remember we made those corners at the beginning, sorry. So I'm there now. Okay, so this is my corner. This is where we did the V stitches. What we'll do is we're gonna crochet those 3 together. Okay, so in order to do that, we're gonna insert our hook into the next stitch, okay, and pull through. And now, rather than making that single crochet, we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch and pull through, and with the third one as well. Okay, I still got this yarn tail as well that I'm tucking in, and pull through. So you should have four loops on your hook. Okay, you're going to yarn over and pull through all of those 4 loops. Okay, so we're going to crochet 3 together. So let's do the next section together, and this is just going to be this is just going to be single crochets, okay, until the next V stitch. Okay, so just single crochets. Okay, we are coming to the second corner here. Okay, so I've got one more single crochet to do. Okay, and again I'm up to this corner, so I'm going to put single crochet. I'm not going to finish that. I'm going to put the hook into the next one and the third one as well. 4 chains on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. Okay, and that's going to start giving us that rounded shape there for the collar. It's going to be even better once we come back and do the second row on it. Okay, and again continue with the single crochets. You're going to have 2 more corners to do, so that's going to be that one and that one, and I'm going to meet you once you get to the end of that collar part. Okay, okay, so I've finished the single crochets in that collar part at the top. So now we've come on the other side, so the other side is just going to be a mirror to the first side that we did, and that consists of the half double crochets. Okay, so to start on this side, I'm just gonna make 1 more single crochets, and I'm coming to the starting point. I'm gonna chain 1, and then I'm gonna start half double crochets on this side, the same as I did previously. Now I did have 56 half double crochets on that side, so I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make 56 half double crochets on this side as well. So I've done 3, 4, 5. What I'm going to say to you guys is, when you're making this half double crochets, I'm just going to quickly show you on this other side. Please make sure that you don't do them too tightly in here. Oops. Because if you do, your work is going to squash. So you're going to see things like this, and your work is going to start going inwards. If you do them too loosely, it's going to start spreading out like that, and then it's going to lose shape. So judge it by ear, and okay, make sure. So I'm just going to flatten this out so you can see. Make sure that you do half double crochet across, that is not too stretchy, and it's not too loose either. It might, if this is something that you've just started making and this is your first border, it might take you a few goes. Just see how you get on with them, but please make sure that you do count them. Okay, the reason why we are tightening this up, as I said, is because we're gonna make this as a base for the collar, and when you actually put this on a child, you will see that it's slightly bigger, so we just need to tighten it up so the collar can come in nicely from it. Okay, so let's continue with the border on the other side. So this is half double crochets, and I'm going to meet you once we get to that end there. As you can see, I have left my stitch marker there. You know, as I said before, I do like my stitch marker, so that's going to stay there. Okay, so let's continue on our work. Okay, so I've come to the end of that row when oh, look at this, guys. I think my wool has slightly different color at some places. Okay, interesting. Okay, never mind. Back to our project. So I've come to the end of that border there, so I've got 1 more stitch there to do. So I'm going to take my stitch marker and I'm going to put a half double crochet into that last one. Okay, so now what we need to do is to go back. Okay, so we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. Okay, so our project is getting a little bit bigger. So yeah, as you can see, I had to use a new wool as well, so I'm on the second ball of yarn. Okay, and now it's a bit easier now because we do have the chains and we can see them. So if you put your work like this, you can see all the stitches. So we're just going to repeat what we've done. Okay, so we're going to do half double crochet until the end of this part here. Until here, we're going to chain one. Once we get there, sorry, not chain one, we're going to make a V stitch here, and then we're going to do single crochets the same as we did before. We're going to do 3 together on each of those corners. Okay, then we're going to do a V stitch there and continue with our half double crochets. Okay, so let's just start this together. So I've chained one and I'm just gonna do half double crochets. So that's my first one. So I'm gonna put my stitch marker there. Okay, and do half double crochet all across this section of our project. Okay, so I'm gonna meet you once at the top of this side, and we're gonna do the corners together then. Okay, so see you when we get to that corner there. Okay, so here we are at the top of this is the second row of our border, and I have come to this chain one that we've made previously when we turn our work. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a half double crochet in there, chain one, and then we're going to put a single crochet there. And as you can see, we have turned our work. Okay, so we are up to the collar part. Same as before, we're going to make single crochets all across this top part of your work. However, when we get to the V stitches here, we're going to do single crochet 3 together. So let's do this part together. Let's put single crochets in there. Okay, we're coming to that first V stitch corner. Okay, so now I've got one single crochet just before the V stitch, and this is when I'm gonna start my 3 together. Okay, so 1, insert your hook in the next one and insert into the third, 4 loops on your hook and yarn over, pull through all 4. Okay, and we're going to continue with our single crochets all across. Just remember that on each V stitch you're going to do 3 single crochets together. Okay, and I'm going to meet you once we get to the end of that part, and we're going to start the border down the other side together. Okay, so continue your work with a single crochet at the top. Okay, I have come to the end of that top row. So what we'll do is we're just going to mirror what we've done before, which is single crochet into that chain space there, chain 1 and half double crochet, so we can turn our work. Now as you can see, okay, we haven't made any holes yet, which means now is the time to do them. Now if you want the buttons to be on the right side, then you have to make the holes on the left side, which means you would have had to make the holes there on that side. I'm putting my buttons on the left side, which means I'm going to be doing my buttonholes on this right side. Okay, so I did have this lying flat down like so, just to see where the buttonholes will actually go. So I was thinking to have maybe 5 buttons, so we need one at the top. Okay, and then I was thinking maybe something like this. Okay, all the way to here. So I'm not going to have them all the way to the bottom, but I'm going to have them till about, I don't know, 3/4 maybe of my work. So that's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to just put a stitch marker in here where I want my last button to be. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to do this. Is because now I'm going to count how many half double crochets, how many stitches do I have up until there. Okay, I know I want to have 5 buttons, so however many stitches I've got, I'm going to divide that by 5 to see how many stitches I have to have in between. That's a very good way for you to make sure that the buttons are evenly spread across the work, because yes, we do have pattern on our work and we can possibly fit a button, for example, there, 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 and so on. Now if you want to do this, by all means you can. It just means that you're going to have, you know, the buttons are going to be slightly close together. Having said that, this is not actually looking that bad. Okay. You know what, guys? I think I might actually do this. Okay. Yeah, I actually really like this. Okay. Yes. To make the buttonholes, let's do the first one, because the first one is going to be right at the top for all of us. Okay. So to make that first one, what we're going to do is, oops. Okay, so we've made our half double crochet there. So to make the first buttonhole, we're going to chain 1. Okay, we're going to skip the next stitch and we're going to put half double crochet in the stitch after. Okay, and that's all you do, and there we go, we have made a buttonhole. Okay, yarn is one of those great materials to work with, because even if you had slightly bigger buttonholes than mine, it will still stretch and they will be able to go through, as you can see. Okay, so that's what you're going to do for this row. Just mark where your buttonholes need to be. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do a buttonhole to go on each indentation there, so just in the middle of all of them, but I'm still gonna count how many stitches I'm gonna have, and I'm gonna have the equal amount of stitches in between them. So I'm gonna do a buttonhole on each one because I quite like that. So I've made up my mind, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so make sure that you do the buttonholes where you want them to go, and then I'm gonna meet you guys at the end of this section, and we're gonna do something slightly different at the end. So actually no, not this end, that one. Okay, I'm gonna meet you here and then we're gonna go from there. Okay, so I've come to the end of that row. What I wanted to show you is that I have opted in for making the buttons a little bit closer to one another, so it's gonna look something like this, and I have made 6 buttonholes, so I've decided to do 6, and I've got 5 chains in between each one of those. Okay, so again, if you're using bigger buttons, you might want to do them a little bit more spaced out. Even if you're using smaller ones, you might want to do them like that. It is totally up to you how many buttons you want to do and the space in between them. Okay, so let's finish that row together. So I've come to the end here. As you can see, I'm up to my stitch marker, so I'm going to take that off and I'm going to put a half double crochet into that space. Okay, like so, and I'm going to chain 1. and turn my work. Okay, so we are wrapping up the borders now for both sides. Your both sides should now be overlapping, because if you remember at the beginning we had that space in between, so we had like a centimeter in between the two sides. Now because we've added the border, they should overlap like that, which will give you enough space to put the buttons on the bottom like so, and then that's going to overlap and you can do the buttons up. Okay, so to finish that off, we're just going to do the same as we did before. So that's going to be a half double crochet all across there. When you come to the top again, you're going to do that little mini V stitch that we did, and you're going to continue with the single crochets, 3 together at each corner, and then down on the other end, and I'm gonna meet you when you finish here. Now, 2 things you can do once you finished. You can finish there if you want. If you're happy with the border at the bottom as it is now, you can finish it there, or you might want to continue the border and the bottom and then actually finish on the other side with half double crochets. That's totally up to you. I'm very tempted to just leave it as it is, because I quite like this sort of like I don't know, a little bit of a frilly look. So I'm just gonna leave it as that. So keep on working on your border with half double crochets, and then I'm gonna meet you at the end here where we're gonna finish it together. Okay, so here we are at the end of our border on the side of the buttons, and I have taken my stitch marker on. I have put my last half double crochet. So I've decided I'm just going to do like a little edge at the bottom, and that's going to consist of just single crochets. So I'm going to chain 1, and in the same stitch I'm just going to do a V stitch, and I'm just going to put a single crochet there, and I'm going to continue with single crochets at the bottom of the cardigan. I think it's just going to make it a little bit nicer there. If you would like to finish your work here, by all means just finish it, chain 1, pull your yarn, cut it, and then you can weave the ends at the back. If not, you can do a little border at the bottom. Again, that border can be single crochets, you can do half double crochets, totally up to you. You can give it a go and see what it looks like and decide from there. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead, do the single crochets there at the bottom, and I'm going to meet you once I get to the other end where I'm going to finish my work. Okay, so I've come to the end of that that part now, because I've done a single crochet all the way on the bottom. Finished now, as you can see, so it's a single crochet all the way at the bottom. So I have finished that border now and the border on the side, so it's time to cut this yarn. Okay, so give yourself enough tail there, and I do like to weave in my ends as soon as. That's just gonna give us a really nice and clean look straight away. So I do like to do those from the back and just weave it in these back loops, if you like, of your work. So go ahead and weave your ends if you like now, or maybe you like to do that at the end when you can do all of them. And I'm gonna see you very shortly, and we can start the work on the buttons. And then once we've completed that, then we can start a work on the sleeves. We're gonna do the sleeves next rather than the collar. The reason being is the work, if we do the collar, our project is going to be a little bit heavier, and I feel for the sleeves you do need to maneuver your project quite a lot, so I do like to do the sleeves while the work is not that heavy. Okay, so I'll meet you once I weaved in my end. Okay, so I've weaved in my ends, as you can see that, well, as you can't see it because I can't see them either. Okay, now it's time for the buttons. Before we do the buttons, I would just like to point out that depending on the buttons you're using, for example, I'm using ones with lettering and pictures, please make sure that you position them correctly. Another sort of tip, if you like, is to make sure that when you're sewing your buttons, the holes are the same way round for all of them. It's just going to make your work look much neater. So for example, I've got 2 holes buttons, so I'm just going to make sure that they are like this, so parallel to one another, but really up to you. What I like to do is next is to use my yarn to do the buttons. I have tested it, the holes are big enough for the yarn, so I'm going to use that rather than my little string that I had at the beginning. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this through my needle there, and we're gonna do my first button. I'm not gonna show you guys how to do all the buttons. I think I need a bigger needle, but I'm gonna do the first one with you. It's not one of my favorite things in the world. It's probably one of my least favorite when I do the projects, but there you have it. And this is probably one of the reasons why, because I can't put the yarn through the needle. Oh gosh. Oh. I'm gonna have to get back with you guys once I've done it, because I think this is just gonna take me a while. Hey guys, I did it. Yes, it took me a couple of minutes, but I'm there. So I don't need to measure where my first button is gonna go, because that's gonna go right at the top. So I'm just gonna quickly show you. So this one will go at the top there. Okay, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna sew in the first button, and then all the rest of them I will measure accordingly to make sure that the holes align with them. So yes, let's do this. I'm gonna just start at the back and just pull through. Because I'm using yarn, I don't actually need to do a lot to secure the button, so a couple of goes will be sufficient, but you can see it there. I do like to use the yarn because it's the same color, and yeah, it looks prettier, I think. So I leave a tail there, so when I finish 2 goes, so I'm just going to do one more there, and then I can secure it. I can just tie in both ends. So I've done it like that. I'm gonna take my scissors, cut that, and I'm just gonna secure them. I'm just gonna tie them together really. I'm not gonna press too much at the beginning because I don't want all my yarn to just squash together. And I'm just gonna tie a knot, and then once all the buttons are finished, I'll just hide the ends, and there you have it. It's quite nice to give it a go. try it out, and I think that looks fab. It looks very cute, so I'm gonna continue making the buttons for all the buttonholes, and I'm gonna meet you once we've got all the buttons sorted for our project, and then we're gonna start on our sleeves. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so here we are, we've done the buttons, and next thing that we're gonna do is the sleeve. So I've done one of the sleeves just to show you what it's going to look like. So we're going to continue the pattern that we've been making. Okay, so there's no you know, different pattern going on or anything like that. As you can see, it just continues with that pattern, and we're gonna sort of tighten it up at the end. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you how I've connected my yarn and how to start the pattern, and then it's pretty much a 2-row repeat. Now you might have seen, and in here I've got the cardigan, if you like, or the jacket, all basically sewn in. I do like to do this so it doesn't move when I do my sleeves. I do like it to be very tight, that's why I've got the buttons, and it's just easier for me to do the sleeves. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but I do it with all my projects. Okay, so when it comes to the sleeves, we are not going to be turning them at all, so we're going to be working on the right side all around. So we're just going to make a loop like that. So we've got one, and we're just going to connect it right here where, so we had the 2 V-stitches from before, and we did half of one V-stitch and half of another V-stitch, which if you connect them together like this, you're going to notice that it makes a full V-stitch. The reason why I'm saying this and why this is important is when you start your sleeve, you want to bear that in mind to make sure that all of these front post double crochets do line up, so you continue with the same pattern. Okay, so we've done our loop there, and we're just going to connect it right at the bottom of that arm opening, and we're just going to chain 1 for now. Okay, so that's your basically your yarn connected. Okay, so chain 1 more time, so you've got 2 chains, and we're gonna start on this pattern. Okay, if you let me just show you. So this is our V-stitch in here, so we've got our front post double crochet there, and the other front post goes towards the body of your cardigan, so we are not going to work on that one. Okay, and on the other side you've got exactly the same, so you've got the V-stitches there, so that's a front post, that's a front post, this one goes to the body of your cardigan. So again, we are not going to be using that one, we're just going to be using the ones that are for the arm opening, okay, to make this pattern. And we're just going to continue the pattern that we've started when we were doing the yoke. Okay, so let's start this. We're going to start with the front post double crochet right there. Okay, so we're going to just make that smooth transitions from the previous row, and we're going to connect that with the front post double crochet right there in that V-stitch. If you remember, when we were doing the V-stitches and we were creating the double crochet, they were always turned into a front post double as we increased our rows, and that's what we're going to continue doing here just at the beginning. So we're going to make a front post double crochet right there and a double crochet in the back chain right there. So that would have been your V-stitch, but we don't have a shell stitch, sorry, but we don't have a shell stitch. We just got a little stitch in there in the back, and then chain 1. Okay, so we're gonna do a double crochet in that first stitch of that shell stitch there, like we did before, a front post double crochet to the right side, and a front post double crochet to the left side of that shell stitch, and a double crochet at the back, and chain 1. Okay, and this is the pattern that we're gonna follow all around the arm opening. So I'm gonna do this with you. Okay, let me just, this is why I like to just sew it all up, because it doesn't move, and I find it better when it stays still, otherwise it becomes too wiggly. Okay, so front post double crochet and a double crochet in the back. Don't forget to chain 1. Okay, then double crochet in that first stitch of the shell, a front post double crochet to the right side of the shell, a front post double crochet to the left side of the shell, and a double crochet in the back, and chain 1. Okay, so we're gonna keep going all around the arm opening. Okay, so we're gonna follow that same pattern until we get to the beginning where we started this row, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna move on to the next row after this. Okay, so there's gonna be a slight difference in the way we're gonna be doing the rows for the sleeves comparing to what we've done for the rest of the jacket, but I'm gonna talk you through it and explain why we are doing that, because I think sometimes the why is important. Oops. Oh gosh. Let's try that again. Front post double crochet and a double crochet to the back. Chain 1. Okay, that's much better. Okay. Okay, we are nearly there. Okay. Chain 1. We're at the pretty much the last one before we reach the beginning, if you like. Okay, so we've come to the bottom of that arm opening. Just gonna chain 1 here and quickly show you. Okay, so this is where we are at the moment. Okay, same as on the other side. Okay, we're gonna do the double crochet, oops, in that stitch there, and this is very much in that stitch of the previous V-stitch, or the last V-stitch that we did. We're gonna do a front post double crochet. Okay, and this is the V-stitch now, the same as on the other side, a front post double. Okay, and we're going to connect that with our chain that we did, the first 2 chains that we did. So we're just going to do it at the top of that. Okay, and we're going to make a slip stitch. So when you actually have a look at now your work, you're gonna see that we are continuing with that pattern. Okay, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the bottom one we're going to count as 1, so you're going to have 10 sort of openings for a shell stitch. Okay, so that's the hardest part of connecting the sleeves to your body, really, or starting your sleeves, because now we're going to start the 2-row repeat. Okay, so to start this row, and this is what is going to be different to what we've done before, is that we are always going to start with chain 2, and we're going to count this as a double crochet. Okay, so all around when you're doing your work for your sleeve, you're going to start with chain 2 and you're going to count it as a double crochet. The reason why we're going to be counting it as a double crochet is, for example, we need to do a shell stitch here. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you. If we do the shell stitch, which we did 3 double crochets for, so let's just do 3 double crochets here, and I'm going to show you the difference. Okay, you're gonna see that this shell, it sort of looks like it's got 4 because we've done that chain 2, and if you compare it to a shell stitch that we've done previously, like for example here, it looks much bigger. Okay, so we don't want that. We want it all to look the same, so we're gonna count it as a double crochet. So go ahead and put a shell stitch there. Okay, and then we're going to continue with a front post double as you've got it in here. Okay, and another front post double. Okay, and a shell stitch in that big opening there. So the shell stitch is just the 3 double crochet in that big space there. Okay, and then you're gonna see that we've come to the 2 front post doubles, so we're gonna make them. So this is the same pattern that we were following for the body of our cardigan, but now we are working on the right side. Okay, so that's the only difference. So rather than doing the back post double crochet, they're all gonna be front post double crochets. Okay, apologize for that noise. That's just my dog trying to get hold of a bottle cap, really. I think it's just stuck under my chair, but okay, I better get on it and I'll come back to you. We're gonna do this row together. Okay, crisis averted. Let's continue. So we've done the shell stitch, and we're gonna now make 2 front post double crochets. Okay, and we are up to this opening, so we're gonna make a shell stitch. Okay, 2 and 3. Okay, so again we've come to the front posts, so we're gonna make 2 front post double crochets and a V-stitch. So let's continue with this pattern until we reach the beginning of this row. Once you've reached the beginning of the row, you're going to connect them to the chain 2 with a slip stitch. Okay, so let's check our work. As you can see, our pattern is starting to take shape. We should have 10 shell stitches. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shell stitches. So you should pretty much have the same if we've done the same yoke, which I think we all have. When we measured it, you might have 11 if you've done slightly bigger one, or you might have 9 if you've done a smaller yoke, but you know, we should all be roughly at the same, really. Okay, the next row, and this forms the second row of the 2-row repeat. So we've done the first one, so now we are up to the second one. So what we'll do is we're going to chain 2 like we did before. Okay, we're gonna put a, actually what I'm gonna do is, yeah, I was gonna put a not slip stitch, a stitch marker, but I can't seem to find them. Never mind. It's a good idea to put a stitch marker just at this starting chain, but it is very noticeable, so you don't have to. Okay, so let's start this second row of the 2-row repeat. So we're going to do a front post double crochet to the right of that shell stitch, and a front post double crochet on the left side of the shell stitch, and then we're going to do a double crochet in the back, chain 1, and then we're going to move on to the next shell, where we're going to do a double crochet into that first chain of the shell, a front post double crochet to the right, front post double crochet to the left side of that shell, and a double crochet in the back. So you would recognize this row because it's exactly the same as the row that we were doing for the body of our cardi coat. Okay, so continue with this pattern until you reach the end. Once you've reached the end, please make sure that you connect your stitch with a slip stitch to the chain 2 space, chain 2, sorry, that we did at the start of this row. Then you're going to continue with your rows, so you're going to be on a row 4. Okay, same thing, you're gonna, for row 4 you're gonna chain 2 and you're gonna make those shell stitches. Okay, and that's your 2-row repeat for your sleeves. Now in the sleeve that I did, well, in the right sleeve that I did, or it's actually left one, I did, I'm just quickly going to show you. So I did 20 rows, and then I started on this decrease here. So keep on going with your rows. I'm going to just quickly measure it for you. So I've done about 18 centimeters before I started the decrease, and then with a decrease it went up to 23 centimeters. So there's about 5 centimeters of this decrease at the end. Now you might want to do your sleeves without the decrease, in which case continue with your pattern. You're going to have a wider opening for your sleeves in here. Some people prefer that. What you can do actually, because you do have all these spaces here, if you want to, you can actually put a ribbon in there. I'm just going to quickly show you with my measuring tape, because I don't actually have a ribbon to show you it, but theoretically you can put a ribbon in there if you don't do the decrease, and have it as a ribbon to tie up, which I think is going to look quite cute. If you do that, you might actually do maybe some sort of chain with your yarn, and do that if you really want to or you can just do the decrease like I've done. I quite like the decrease, and so I'm just gonna stick with that. But as I said, overall the sleeve for 2 to 3-year-old needs to be around 22-23 centimeters. That's what I've got in here. I've got slightly bigger actually, but that's okay. You do whatever, you know, however long you want the sleeve to be. Some people prefer 3/4, and that's fine as well. So keep on going with the 2-row repeat, and then I'm gonna meet you once we are sort of coming to the decrease, so I can show you how to do that, and then we're gonna finish the sleeve and move on to the collar after. Okay, to start the decreasing round, what we'll do is, in these spaces here when we did the shell stitch, rather than having 3 double crochet, we're going to put 2 double crochet. So I'm going to count this chain 2 as a double crochet, and I'm just going to put another one. Okay, so we've got 2. We're going to follow the front post double crochet, so we are not going to now make them go in a squiggly line. We're just gonna follow those because we want them to form these pillars here like we've got on the other sleeve. Okay, so we're gonna do a front post, okay, front post double crochet, okay, and another front post double crochet. So we're just gonna follow these, and I feel this is a little bit of an easier row. Then we are coming to this opening where we're going to do 2 double crochets, okay, then 2 front post double crochets, okay, and then we are at this opening again, and we're just going to put 2 double crochets, and then 2 front post double crochets, 2 double crochets. Keep on following that pattern until you reach the beginning, and I'm gonna come when we are nearly the end to finish this row with you and start on the new one. Okay, I've come to the end of that row. I've just got the 2 front post double crochets to do, so let's do those together. So that's one, and this is the second one, and I'm gonna connect this row with a slip stitch to that chain 2 that we've started with. Okay, to start the next row, we're going to chain 1, okay, and we're just going to do a double crochet 2 together in each one of these little mini shells that we've done. Okay, so we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a double crochet into that double crochet, okay, then 2 front post double crochet. So the front post double crochets are not gonna chain, then they're not changing at all in our rounds because we want them to go parallel. Okay, the next one, we've got the 2 double crochets there, as you can see. So we're gonna do a double, but don't finish it. Have the 2 loops on your hook, chain over, go into the next stitch. Okay, now you've got 4, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, and this is called 2 double crochets 2 together. Well, double crochets 2 together. So let's do the 2 front post double crochets, and the double crochet 2 together, it's next. So we've got the 2 double crochets there from our mini shell. So yarn over, okay, pull your hook through that stitch, yarn over, pull through. Now you've got 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. You've got 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2. You've got 4, yarn over, pull through 2, you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, so I've come to the almost the end of that row. I just got one more front post double crochet to do, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and connect my row with a slip stitch to the first chain. Okay, what we have next is a row repeat. It's just one row and I'm going to do 4 of them, so I'm going to do 4 more of the row repeat, because that's what I've done on my left sleeve, as you can see. Now this is totally up to you. If you would like to make your sleeve a little bit longer, you don't have to do 4. You might want to do maybe 5 or 6 more. You might want to do it shorter. That's totally up to you. I have opted up for 4 and that's what I'm gonna do. So the row repeat is the same as the one we did. So chain 2 to begin with, and then 2 front post double crochets. Okay, and then a double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, 2 front post double crochets, okay, and a double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, now keep it going. So this is a 1 row repeat, and do as many or as little as you like. You might notice that I'm just going to show you comparison with this. It's still a little bit larger, but what I'm going to say is trust the process. It will get smaller as you're doing the crochets, even though you're not actually taking any more stitches or crocheting them together. It will start getting smaller, so trust the process and yeah, keep on crocheting. And I'm gonna see you once I've finished 4 more rows of this row repeat. Okay, here I am finishing my 4th row, and all I'm left to do is to do a front post double crochet and then slip stitch it to that chained 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1. Oops, I'm going to take my scissors, cut that yarn, just pull it through and tighten it. So this is when we're gonna just tie those 2 ends, and as you can see, our sleeves are now the same, and this opening has now been shrunk by quite a lot. So there we go. Okay, so sleeves done. The last thing that we need to do from our cardigan is to make the collar. So I'm just gonna go and tie these ends off camera, and I'm gonna see you at the collar part, and this is the last bit that we're gonna do. Okay, here we are, guys. We are at the collar part. You might have seen that I've got 2 stitch markers here, and I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, so the collar does not actually start from your corner there, because if you start at the corner to make your collar on both sides, you're going to notice that your collar is actually going to overlap there. So those 2 ends of the collar will all overlap, and it's not going to be a very good look. So what you need to do is to start your collar a little bit to the side, so the ends of the collar are actually gonna lie down parallel to this button, if you like. Okay, now you might want to make the collar come a little bit closer together, so you might want to have it come like this. It will cover the button, but please make sure that the 2 ends don't overlap. but they're just together. So you might want to start it a little bit on the other side. Really, I'm gonna start it here because I like my button to be shown. Okay, the next step is for you to actually count how many stitches you have. So count the beginning and the end stitch as well. I have counted mine and I've got 50 stitches. Okay, the next part, there's a little bit of a math to it and I'm gonna show you. Okay, the collar, we can't, if we were to do the collar and not increase these stitches at all, the collar is not gonna lie very nicely on your cardigan. Okay, there's just, it's not gonna look nice. It's gonna have like little ridges and it won't be able to do it, purely because the collar needs to be a little bit bigger than your cardigan because it comes on top of it. Because the collar needs to be a little bit bigger than your cardigan, we need to make well, we need to add stitches to our collar to make it bigger. Okay, now I did say I've got 50 stitches. The collar, we're gonna work on 4 stitches a repeat. So we're gonna work a double crochets, okay, and then we're gonna work front post and back post double crochets and so on. So this is gonna be our 4-row repeat. Okay, we want to finish all our rows with double crochets. Okay, which means for increases we need to do something that is multiplicable by 4 plus 2. Okay, so I do have 50 stitches on mine. Okay, and I want to have something, as I said, multiplicable by 4 plus 2. So I might have something like 3 times 4, 12 plus 2, 14. So added 14, so that will be 64, or I might have 68 and so on. I'm gonna aim for this 64. Okay, so I know that I'm gonna need 14 stitches. Now I'm gonna have, at the beginning and the end, I'm not gonna do increases straight away. So I'm gonna have about 5 stitches where I don't do any increase. So 5 at the beginning and 5 at the end, okay, which makes 10. And because I've got 50 stitches minus the 10, that gives me 40 stitches where I have to fit all the increases in. Now I'm gonna start my increase on that 6th stitch, really. So that will leave me with 39 stitches where I will need to distribute the increases evenly. Okay, now 39 is divisible by 3. Okay, which means that how much is that going to give me? 1. Okay, that's going to give me 13 increases plus my original first increase, that's 14 increase, and that's really much what I'm looking for. I'm hoping I'm explaining this right to you, and it does make sense. I don't know how else to explain it to you. So now that we know what we are doing, oh look, I haven't cut the buttons, that's okay. Okay, what we'll do is we have to connect our yarn. So we're gonna make a starting chain like we did before. Okay, and we're gonna connect it to this first identifiable stitch that I've got here. Just gonna take my stitch marker off in order for me to connect this new yarn, and I'm gonna chain 2. Unlike the sleeves, we are not gonna count this as a stitch, so we're gonna make a double crochet into that first chain, and while I'm doing that, I'm just gonna tie in this end as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and we're gonna make a double crochet, and I'm just gonna place my stitch marker right there, and I will be placing stitch marker at the end and the beginning of each row, purely because that's easier for me. If you would like to do that, that's fine. If you don't have these stitch markers, you don't actually need them. You can always use a leftover yarn if you've got something like this. And I'm just going to quickly show you how to do that. So you can actually insert your hook there and just pull out, and you can use that as your stitch marker. You don't actually have to have these. Okay, I'm just gonna put the ones I've got. I think I've got these when I was buying some new hooks, and they came with a set, so that's how I've got them. Okay, so I've put a double crochet into that first stitch there, and as I mentioned before, we're gonna do 5 stitches where we don't put any increase at all. So we're gonna make 5 double crochets at the beginning. Okay, so that's 2, 3, 4, okay, and 5. Okay, when we were calculating how we're going to do this, I did mention that on the 6th stitch, and this is how I'm going to start it, I'm going to make an increase. To make an increase, we're going to make a double crochet into the next stitch, and then in the same stitch we're going to make another double crochet. Okay, and there you have it. That's our increase. Okay, now in my calculations, when I was doing them, I did mention that I'm going to do an increase on every 3rd stitch. So let's do the first one together. So we're going to make a double crochet in the next 2 stitches, so that's 1 and then 2, and in the 3rd stitch we're going to make the increase, which means we're going to put 1 double crochet and another double crochet into that same stitch. Okay, and I'm going to continue this all around the collar. So I'm going to do 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, so 1, 2, and into this 3rd one we're going to make an increase. As you can see, I finished my row of increases, and now I've got 5 stitches left. So let's finish these together, and what we'll do is we're just gonna put 1 double crochet into each one of these stitches. Okay, so that's 3, 4, and I'm just going to remove this stitch marker, and 5. Okay, so let's start the first row of the 2-row repeat. To do that, we're going to chain 2 and we're going to turn our work. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna start and finish each row with just normal double crochet, and we're gonna do 2 of those. Apologies for my doggy. I don't know what she's doing. Okay, so we're gonna start and finish with just a double crochet. So we're gonna make the first one in that first stitch. So that's one. I'm gonna pop in my stitch marker just there. Okay, and we're gonna do another one. So there's gonna be two of those. So we're gonna start and end with just normal double crochets. Okay, and now we're gonna start the 4 stitch repeat for this row. Okay, now I would like to tell you that this is our visible side. So this is the side that we're going to be able to see once the collar goes down like this. Okay, so this is our right side, if you like. Okay, so what we'll do for the 4 row repeat is we're going to do a front post double crochet and another front post double crochet. So there's 2 front post double crochets and 2 normal double crochets. 1, 2. Okay, so that's your 4 stitch repeat that we're gonna follow until the end of this row. And when you finish this row, you should finish it with 2 normal double crochets. Okay, and as you can see, the pattern is starting to form. So this is a very similar pattern as with our sleeves there. Okay, but on the sleeves we were doing the decrease, so we were doing just 1 double crochet in between. Here we are doing 2. Okay, so I'm gonna let you to finish this row with a 4 stitches repeat. So 2 front post double crochets, okay, and 2 normal double crochets. Okay, so keep crocheting, and I'm gonna meet you towards the end of this row when we're gonna start the second row of the 2 row repeat. So I'm coming to the end of this row. So as you can see, I've got 4 stitches left. So I'm gonna do my last of the front posts. Okay, and I'm gonna finish with the 2 normal double crochet. So we're gonna start and end with 2 normal double crochets. Okay, and as you can see now, let me just show you for a bit. As you can see, our collar is starting to take shape, I think. Even though it's very tiny, you can see it, and you can see in the front here that I can see my button and they're not overlapping because they're sort of on the other side of the button. As I said to you before, you can actually make it to come together if you want to, or even make it further apart. Just don't make it right at the top because you're gonna get overlapping like this, and that's not what you want. Okay, so let's go ahead and chain 2, 1, 2, and we're gonna turn our work. So this is the second row of our 2 row repeat. So we're gonna do the 2 normal double crochets because, as I said, we're gonna start and end with a normal double crochet. Okay, so that's 1, and I'm going to go ahead and place my stitch marker there. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to do another double crochet in there. Okay, so we need to make sure that we are following these. Okay, so all throughout your work, you're going to make sure that you're following these parallel lines. Okay, and that's what's going to give us all this beautiful pattern like we've got on our sleeves. Okay, which means for this row we're gonna do 2 normal double crochet and then 2 back post double crochet. So you remember the back post because we've done quite a lot in this project, which is to yarn over, go in the back of this stitch following this column there. Okay, pull the yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so next we're gonna do 2 normal double crochets. Okay, and 2 back post double crochets. Okay, so go ahead and where is it, and follow this pattern, okay, until the end of this row. I'm gonna meet you once, well, towards the end of the row, so we can finish this together and then start the row repeat after that. Okay, so I'm at the back post here and I'm gonna meet you, okay, once we are coming to the end of this row. Okay, keep crocheting. I'm coming to the end of this row. Just gonna do 1 back post double crochet because that's what I've got left to do. Oh no, wrong one. Okay, that's the right one. So back post double crochet and then 2 normal double crochets. Okay, I'm just going to take the stitch marker there. Okay, and those are your 2 row repeats. So we're going to chain 2, going to turn our work. Okay, and we're going to repeat the first row of our row repeat, which was the 2 double crochets at the start. This is very much standard with all our rows for the collar. Just gonna put the stitch marker there. Okay, and another one. And on this row we are doing front post double crochets. Okay, so front post double crochets, front post double crochets, and so on. So you're gonna do this until the end of this row, and then the next row will be the same as the one we've just finished, which is going to be the double crochets and back post double crochets. Please make sure that you're following these columns here. So the pattern of these columns, you need to make sure that you don't accidentally take this, for example, or just do one, or you know, anything like that. So just make sure that you're following those, and then your collar can be as big as you want it to be. Okay, I'm gonna keep going because I would like my collar to be a little bit bigger, so I think I'm gonna go till about here. I think, yeah, about 5 centimeters, I reckon. Let me just get my measuring tape. So okay, so at the moment it's about 3, so maybe 5 or 6 centimeters. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going, you do the same, and then I'm gonna meet you once I'm finished with my rows. We're gonna wrap it up together and then we're gonna see our end result. Okay, so I finished my collar. I did it smaller than what I originally was going to do, but I quite like it smaller like this. So what I've done is I've cut my yarn, okay, and I've chained 1 and I'm just gonna pull that, okay, and take all my stitch markers, and I'm just gonna weave in this end and any other ones that I've got a few on the back, and these are from the buttons, so I'm just gonna cut those, and that's our project done. really. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna make a hat to go along with this, but that's gonna be in another video. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future posts. Okay, and thank you for doing this project with me.